Welcome CNG 132 online course. Really great discussions. And one thing to let you know that I read every post, but I try not to dabble so much in it that try to get you guys to talk about a specific topic. Pretty much, I like to leave it as a free-for-all, just so you guys can interact with each other a lot more. If there's something really, really small, usually I do push to try to get you to open up more about it. But as we found out, there's a lot of components to security, IoT devices, smart TVs, what else are there? Smart home devices that lack the security concepts that should be implemented in everything. Safe home, yeah, avoiding the IoT things. That's going to be a real tough one. Seeing how the Internet of Things, by next year, it's supposed to hit 20 billion, basically, sensors. That's all an IoT device is usually, is a sensor detecting something and interacting with something else, another system. So when you get your system architecture, it's basically systems of systems interacting with sensor devices. Who's to blame? Good topic. Like I said, I took it one step farther with that who's to blame. I called up the iboss.com. Didn't get an answer, which I kind of thought I wouldn't get an answer. So I emailed their admin, and then I did take a, I guess it would be a cyber law course. Not really a whole bunch of law, but it was more looking up laws of Colorado, different states. So basically, I knew what kind of statute to look for. Basically, copy and paste what the Colorado statute said, put it in my email, and then sent it off. Got a reply back that they're looking to do this immediately. So just pushing a little bit more pressure, but going back and reflecting on this, who's really to blame? If a company does offer their cloud service, are they responsible for what happens on their service? How is that supposed to play out exactly? And you can, this week, I think we're talking about how to administer a secure network. Feel free to use the discussion in that, because that one's still a really good topic. Good topics within there. Or feel free to go rogue once more in week 7. I thought I'd introduce you to this. Basically, it's how much data do we generate every day. One person generates almost a gigabyte of data in one day. Let's see some of the biggest concepts here. We do more searches on our phone. 3.7 billion humans are on the internet. Google now processes more than 4,000 searches every second. There's some mind-blowing analytics, and this goes back to the discussion that was on big data. I mean, we're just cranking out data. All this data is being stored somewhere, and it kind of leads into my next thing. Facebook. They just came out and they were hacked the 28th. So what was that? Friday? Yeah, Friday. They just said they were hacked Friday. Was this a strategic? Now start to analyze this as you guys are starting to go into the security field. Was this a strategic maneuver to say, hey, look, we're going to release the information about the data breach on a Friday, so that maybe over the weekend people may forget about it, and then come back Monday and be like, oh, well, it's been a couple of days, and have a less of an impact. Because as we saw, there are different ways to handle this. Equifax data breach. I know within Equifax, one of their first things they did after their breach was have everybody that wanted to know if they're breached sign a disclosure clause that they wouldn't sue the company for the data breach if their stuff was exposed. Was that a good process right there? A lot of these companies, when they get hacked, it's always strategic moves on how are they going to avoid losing money or losing more money. How are they going to get your confidence back to use their resources? So there's a lot of different ways they try to put spins on it. So analyze anything you want for this week, whether it be the big data we're producing and is it secure. Look at the Facebook hack. Maybe give your 2 cents on it. Maybe do the spin on. Maybe do a little discussion on how companies put the spin on data breaches to make it sound like it's not so bad, and they're offering you a service by saying you're what is that? You're using some sort of smart protector to help keep your data, your personal information safe. There's always that. I hate that response. And when they say you can do, one of the other things I shouldn't say I hate, I really dislike, is they offer like free credit checks for a year. Well, as a consumer, you're already allotted so many credit checks per year free. So when they do that, it just kind of gets on my nerves to see this this way they put the spin on stuff to maybe someone that's not so educated about what we're entitled to as U.S. consumers. Yeah. Discussions, really, really good for this week. Make sure you're doing your discussions. With MindTap, I think it's just the update to D2L and MindTap are not melding correctly. I am definitely still working on this with the Cengage personnel. Just sent them another email this morning. So grading with that is going to be, the current process is if I enter a score now and MindTap goes to, and you have a better score in MindTap, that score will never integrate back over to this platform. Once I get a better answer, I'll start pulling grades over, or just let the machine pull the grades over. Worst case scenario, at the end of the course, I'll just have to base your scores, some of your scores, off of what's in MindTap, and then apply it to this course in D2L. Always give you the benefit of the doubt. If I see, like on a lab simulation or a lab that you got a lower score, I'll go ahead and give you 100. I have no problem with that. I understand there are some issues still within the MindTap. The projects, oh yeah, since we're about halfway through the semester, we're at week 7. If you have a previous score from the weeks 1 through 6, make sure you go back and do those. If you missed a discussion, go back and do that discussion. If you missed it, I don't think you can redo a test. If you missed a lab, go back and do the lab. I just said that I'll think you had a problem with the lab or lab simulation. So if you get some score, I'll go ahead and bump that up. With doing discussion, lab, projects, lab simulations, you should walk out of this class with an 80%, a minimum of 80%, because each are worth 20%. Yeah, lab simulations, lab, discussion, and then projects. Yeah, so you should walk here with, at minimum, 80% of your grade, a very low B, but that's still a B, as we see in the letter grade assignment. So go back, do those previous assignments, turn them in. One of my favorite things to say is there's some points are always better than no points, and that could be the push from an 88 to an 89, and then me rounding up to that 90. I believe that might end this week's content for the kickoff material. Administering a secure network just gives us some basic concepts of what to do. It could be physical security. We kind of review how to lock down devices, how devices can be secure themselves, how we can put security through obscurity when we're hiding access points. Maybe we don't put them on the outside of the ceiling, but maybe we put them above the ceiling so people just can't actually see where they exactly are. They'll have to look for it. When you go to secure network protocols, make sure at this level you're at the 10 to 15 range of protocols that you have memorized. Through A plus, you should have got about 5. Net plus, maybe another 5, and then at this time, you should have 5 more. At least, I wouldn't say memorized, but familiar with. You can discern 15 protocols at this point. Security devices, firewalls, okay. And tell how security data can be analyzed, okay. And network platforms. Yeah, so I think that's all for this semester. We will, let's see, get that, make sure to get that in. On a side note, make sure you have the Kaplan rehearsal software. Make sure you have that. At this point, you have 7-8 weeks to keep on rehearsing that in order to get the score in. When you buy the Kaplan Transcender, make sure you submit a picture showing you have access. And I should have that over here. So when you show you have access, log in, and okay. So there should have been a test here that shows what I have, and I thought I should have A plus, Network plus, and Security plus. But once you go to this screen, see how it says in the top left-hand corner, George Lemos, select employment. You'll have this. Basically, just make a snip of it and send it in, and then you get the quiz score. For the test score, keep on rehearsing the software. It'll give you random questions. About your third time through, you get over a 70. With that 70 grade, then you take a picture of it, screenshot, snapshot, snip, selfie, anything to show that you got the score. Submit that in the Dropbox, the assignment Dropbox, and you get a 100-point score. And if you got a 70 or above, it actually changes your test scores to 100. And in this course, I believe we have 4 test scores. So make sure you get that. It's 5% of your overall grade that you should get for free just by doing some rehearsal. Have a good week. I'll do a midweek check-in later.